Hi, this is Carlos Cousins, and the following literary narrative question here is asking um, about these words in context here, mild difficulty. So let's go ahead and read a sentence before and after, try to figure out what's going on. It's so short, maybe we should just read this whole little paragraph here. Dean felt vaguely that he was being unfairly saddled with responsibility. So when his friend's telling him about the issue, he's just like, oh God, he's going to want something from me. I'm going to have to be responsible for something. He wasn't even sure he wanted to be told. He didn't want to hear it. Though never surprised at finding Gordon stared in mild difficulty. Uh, you know, he wasn't never surprised at finding Gordon stared in mild difficulty. So that means that it's typical of Gordon Starrett to be in some sort of mild difficulty, to be in some sort of trouble. I'm not surprised. I've seen this before, right? So even though he's never surprised at finding Gordon Starrett in mild difficulty, there was something in this present misery. So there was something particular about this issue. So there have been others that repelled him and hardened him, that made him particularly angry. He's had some issues before, but this one really made him sort of unhappy, even though he was a little bit excited, even though it excited his curiosity. So let's go ahead and consider the answer choices. Was it shocking to discover? No, we just said that same sentence here says, though never surprised. So Dean isn't very surprised. This isn't very shocking to him. Gordon tends to get in some sort of trouble often, and you can assume this means financial trouble, so we can go ahead and get rid of that. Is it characteristic of Gordon? Well, yeah, if it's not surprising that Gordon is going to have mild difficulties, potentially monetarily, potentially just in general, then it probably means that Gordon has this sort of difficulty a lot. Characteristic here means that it's something that, is part of the character of Gordon that helps to define Gordon. Apparently, it can be said here that Gordon usually gets in some sort of trouble. Otherwise, it wouldn't be surprising that he's in some sort of trouble, right? It would be surprising, that he's gotten himself in some sort of trouble. So this looks like a really good answer choice. Let's see if we find something better. That the narrator here finds Gordon's issues completely undeserved. Maybe. We don't really know. Well, here, a lot of the things here is we're also talking about the narrator, not even Dean. We don't really know whether or not the narrator really thinks that Gordon's issues here are completely undeserved. If it's characteristic of Gordon that he's usually in some sort of trouble, you would think that that's possibly because of something Gordon is doing that other people aren't doing. Maybe not, but we have no reason to say that the narrator thinks that Gordon's situation is completely undeserved. We just don't know that. There's no mention of that in the passage. That he would view as very exciting. Totally not. It seems like Dean here is thinking to himself, right? And what it excited his curiosity, but it says even though before this clause. The main idea here is that it repelled him and hardened him. Dean wasn't very happy with this part of the story, even though he was curious. Even though he was curious, his curiosity was excited. He was mostly just repelled and hardened by it. He didn't want to really hear it. Also, the fact that his curiosity was excited doesn't mean that this was very exciting. It means that his curiosity was that he was simply curious. When you excite the curiosity here, that doesn't mean that the person is excited, right? So we can go ahead and get rid of that answer choice as well, and that's why answer choice B here is the best answer choice. I hope that helps with this problem, and happy prepping.